PAs are a pain in the to start, right? Because nobody in this industry wants you to have a PA but you.
Yep.
Nobody. It's because everyone thinks you're taking from them. And all you're trying to do is kind of organize your voice. But big news. This is actually a big story. Hits close to home for me for some weird reason. I don't know why. LCS Player Association makes a big announcement this week. Several announcements have come out of the PA. They're actually become a real PA. Good executive board, good activist players now. You know, they kind of started as a Riot enthusiast player association, money from Riot, a hire from Riot, just kind of prop him up.
Riot did prop up a player association
for the LCS, yeah.
Kind of mental that they do that, really. I guess it's the teams that get fucked more than Riot in that situation.
So and so what's finally happened years later is activist players have taken, and they've basically taken control of their PA, and they're now figuring out how to self-monetize, so they don't need Riot's money anymore. They're not spending Riot's money anymore. So basically, how do you do that? This announcement that we're talking about today is an announcement between the LCSPA and OneTeam. OneTeam is a mainstream company that actually represents several mainstream sports PAs.
Right.
The company itself is actually owned by several sports PAs and other entities. So it's very player-centric business that represents player-centric businesses in sports. So they represent the NFL PA, I want to say baseball as well, and several others that are not coming to me. So OneTeam announced last year that they were going to start looking at gaming and esports, and not just sports. So they've hired some gamer types to bring them into the fold and explain this world. So one of their first initiatives, maybe even their very first initiative, is they've made an agreement with the LCSPA to use their collective rights of the players to activate stuff. So it could be trading cards, could be jerseys, could be all sorts of stuff, could be NFTs, could be all sorts of stuff. They've already started to do some stuff with that Champions queue. I might be getting the name wrong. They have a special queue now in the game that is kind of for the pros and around the pros, and that's being done with the PA and with Riot and OneTeam. And basically what this is, OneTeam is an agency that specializes in taking your PA's group rights of all your players
and shopping
them.
Yep.
And your players make money, your PA makes money, and then the league, everyone gets cuts of these deals along the way, depending on who's affected.
So in a sense, they are now like a legitimate players association. Like they actually have some form of ability to negotiate their name, image, and likeness rights in a mutually constructive manner.
Yep. Now the way this is going, and what we just scrolled, kind of really explains it really nicely. Plays out. If you don't know what group rights are, how it works in sports, really nice article. Suggest you read it. How the PAs, the LCS is doing it. I'm so used to just saying the PA and meaning Counter-Strike, but these guys are active again. And this makes me really fucking excited. Because again, number one fucking esport on the planet, having an active PA means a lot for players in any game. What they've done is they've done the agreement with OneTeam first, between the PA and OneTeam, and now the players will, this next week or so, all sign their collective rights agreements to give the PA what they literally will, what OneTeam will then use to go sell.
Yes. So they're selling them to OneTeam first, essentially.
Well,
they're signing them.
They have a partnership before they've secured the rights.
Yes.
So this week, they wanted to do this part first and make this process very, very public, so that if the players had questions, if the team owners had questions, it was already out there. Versus, like, the way Counter-Strike did it is the CS PPA already also has the collective rights of those bodies of players. They've already signed them, and they are now being shopped in a very similar way. So we did it opposite. Yep. We went and got the rights first, made sure legally we could do all that. Players signed all the paperwork. LCS wanted to do the opposite way. They have less players. They have 100 players. They're all in the U.S. in the sense of where they're legal. It's easier to do it this way.
Yeah, you have to do it across any
and
borders.
they're also in a unique position as part of their process that this is a process for the LCS to actually unionize, which is a legal term, right? The CS PPA is not a union. It is a player association. Yes, it is. It is a legal association. It is not a union in the U.S. labor law definitions of a union, which has a whole lot of power. We can't do that because we're a global. It has to all be defined in America for it to work for America. So that's why our North American sports leagues are like that. The U.S.-based ones.
They used to have state labor laws to deal with anyway.
Yep. So they use this kind of thing. They can actually unionize, which leads to salary caps. Again, big. This is their first big move of doing something with their P other than quality of life stuff. Hey, Riot, our practice rooms. Hey, Riot, our monitors. Those things you want to worry about too. This is their first big
That stuff's in
business
like the
deal.
rider. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
You got quality of life stuff, and then you got business and revenue stuff. And what this does on the team ownership side is once it gets up and running is, I'm a team owner. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to give up my rights. My players signed to me. Well, you get a sliver of the rights, just like in sports. LeBron James gives a sliver away. He keeps a chunk, right? So where this helps a team owner, because I'm always trying to tell these team owners, look, I don't hate you. There's look at pro sports on all sides of it. What happens is once these guys start monetizing, and that player for you has $50,000 a year in revenue deals that are coming from the group rights, or $20,000, whatever it happens to be, that's $20,000 less that you might need to pay him, right? It'll eventually allow them all to lower their labor costs because players will have other revenue streams, right?
Sure.
And as I always say, like a Counter-Strike player in our ecosystem might be worth $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month, but it doesn't necessarily mean one person has to pay $15,000 a month for that kid to make a deal or to make a living. Maybe it's 10 from the team, 3 from a watch sponsor, 2 from his PA, right? And it all adds up to a healthy ecosystem that everyone benefits from.
Yep.
Again, standard shit in sports, not so standard here yet. So I get really excited about this, even though I don't give a shit about League of Legends, because A, they're a very powerful game in our space, and they can lean into all the U.S. labor laws when they choose to, and, because we have a collective, because collective rights, where I'm ranting now, where it also will help team owners, and this actually came up in this conversation about this, right? Because the other side of this is salary caps, right? You can't legally cap my salary unless I agree to you capping my salary in a group setting, right? That's illegal, right? It's wage fixing, right? So how they get away with it in sports is it's part of the collective bargain agreement. You're an NBA player by virtue of that, by virtue of being in the PA of the NBA, and this collective rights bargain agreement says X, Y, and Z can happen to your salary. It can be capped at this. Your buyouts can be X, Y, and Z, and then you agree. It's all part of the agreement, right? Well, LCS could then have a real deal salary cap, which will help owners, right? Because now you've capped at what you could possibly pay the best player in the U.S. Ain't going to help you with Faker over there, but it can help you here, right?
No good because they're all fucking importing people still, year in, year out.
But they'll come play over here, right? So those salary caps. Same thing that Overwatch is in trouble with the U.S. government with because they soft-tampered one of these, right? They had a
soft cap
that they put under a fee penalty kind of thing, but in all reality, it was a cap on team owners that they could only spend X amount on a player or they got penalized if they went over it. And the penalization was shared and shit, really fucked up. They are being investigated by the Department of Labor, right, for antitrust, because that shit, you can do that shit all day long if your player base is in a player association union and they legally agree for you to have that
none
control
of the players
over
had any idea their salaries are being capped.
So long rant off of this, but this is really cool shit. So this will bring trading cards and all that kind of shit, right, that are very player specific. And it doesn't mess with me if I'm a team owner because I only control what I can do with those 5 guys, right, and how I activate them. If I want to do trading cards as an outside entity, I'd have to go to in this current world. If you're Epics, for example, right, they make trading cards. You currently right now have to go to every single team owner and get rights. You already have to do that to get my team logo, my team those kind of things that I do own. But this allows, because the teams don't technically have that right? They don't have the right to sell my name on a trading card.
Right.
So this division of church and state in that sense allows Epic to go one place for League of Legends players, 12 places for League of Legends team IP. I need Cloud9's logo. I need 100 Thieves logo. And they got to go to Riot. But so it makes the process, again, way easier. And again, players can always still opt out of stuff. The one last thing I would say to equate it to our world in 2 ways is sports games. EA Sports makes Madden. So every year when they're making a Madden football game, they start with 2 conversations. They go to the NFL. They go, hey, we want to buy the rights to the NFL. We want to do the Madden game. And these are multi-year deals, so not every year. Then they go to the PA. They go, we want to buy everyone's NIL. Name, image, likeness. You'll hear that a lot. Name, image, likeness. Your rights to your actual name, your likeness, whether it's a photo or a cartoon.
Or a recreation of you.
Yeah. Yep. Likeness, and then the actual image. Anyone takes a real photo of you. And then that's how they start the process, right? And then an athlete will go, fuck no, I hear it's bad luck to be on the cover. So I'll put my name out. You can make me a football player, have my name on the back of my jersey. I'll send you a photo. You can make my face. But, because it's a curse if you're on the cover, right? So that player gets paid more if he wants that shot, but can also deny it. I hate football games. I don't want my image at all. Well, then number 69 for the Cleveland, Browns is like a fake name, a fake look. It's a generic looking football player, and I don't show up in the game. So that's how that all works, right? So it's just really, really cool to see, because again, this is stuff that we've been talking about at Counter-Strike for several years since we got the rights. I'm just really excited that this PA's got their shit together, because the fact that they're U.S. based literally means they can build themselves just like the NFL PA. It's great stuff, and they've surrounded themselves with some really good guys. Phillips over there, XEG guy, Lauren's over there doing a bunch of stuff. So anyway, rant about
their board are like people that I'm really familiar with in the industry.
Yeah.
Pretty trustworthy.
Yeah,
so.
and this is the kind of shit that I like talking about on this show. Like, to me, this is like meaty, because what I hope happens is obviously like the Counter-Strike guys are already talking about it. Like, oh yeah, that's a great deal. This is the kind of shit. Like, they're all players, right? They just play different games, right? And then you hope to see other games that maybe those players think they've got some legs in their game, Valorant, etc. And like, should we organize? Should we get our shit together? It's success stories of PAs, because PAs are a pain in the fucking ass to start, right? Because nobody in this industry wants you to have a PA but you.
Yep.
Nobody. It's because everyone thinks you're taking from them. And all you're trying to do is kind of fucking organize your voice. But anyway, long rant, really good news. Your thoughts on it, since I've just ranted forever about it.
Yeah, no, look, not a whole lot to add there. Obviously, I'm kind of, I like that it's grown its own legitimacy outside of, Riot kind of propping up this quote-unquote players association, or at least providing a framework for this to happen. So, obviously it affects Riot less than it affects team owners. I think maybe for team owners, that's another entity that they have to parlay with, so to speak. But I like that. I think anything that works to sort of continue to frame the growth of the League of Legends space with greater legitimacy is very good. So, I think we're a long way away from seeing that in other games, though, to be honest with you. A long, long way. But it's a good example to set. And hey, look, I think it's attractive as well to player associations if they can see like an out-of-the-box solution for NIL rights and stuff like that. They'll be more likely to, instead of having to try and fucking do it themselves, or as you guys did with the Counter-Strike guys, it's just pretty complex. So, because getting people on the fucking same page enough to join an association is hard enough as it is.
Yeah, it's hurting cats. Most of your players are fairly indifferent to the process because, again, I'm just playing my game, man. Just playing my game. And the benefits of the hard work and maybe the hassle from your team owner and everybody else, you might not reap those rewards because the power comes after years of these things, right? So you might have been retired and gone, and this headache ain't worth my time, and so be it.
Yeah, it's like in 20 years' time, people could be doing this show and making a lot of money. That's just the way it goes.
And maybe the next set of esports pros that gets really excited about it is a game we don't even know about yet. It's just really encouraging stuff to see this part of it. We're going to talk about all this other bullshit in esports every week. It's just nice to see a little bit of growth in a positive way and a set of players kind of organizing.